Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Updates. We don't have any breaking news because this news is old, but what we do have is our final predictions for what the roller coaster formerly known as Top Thrill Dragster will actually be. Now, we're going to talk about a whole lot of stuff here. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois, joined once again by my good friend Jeff Goodman from New York. Jeff, how's it going tonight?
It's pretty good. We won't have to wait too long before our guesses are either confirmed or denied. It's July 26th today.
Yeah.
Coming
So
out
like this is coming out when? This is August 1st.
August 1st.
August 1st. So we're right here. We're gonna know what's gonna happen in the next few days here. So we're gonna talk about a few things. Let me first start by saying that yes, I do think it's Zamperla that's building this thing. I think that's almost like the best money you can put on this ride at this point is who's building it. And a whole lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't know about Zamperla. I don't know. What have they done? They're untested."
I thought you were one of them.
I might have been at one point. But I'm thinking about it in my head. I'm like, well, who exactly was Intamin before they built Millennium Force? And if you go back on different websites and look at what other coasters they made a handful of some kiddie coasters. They made the bobsled flat rides, as I call them. They're not roller coasters. They made they made a couple of wooden coasters, but they really didn't start doing anything into the late 90s, early 2000s when they started doing the Superman Ride of Steel rides, Millennium Force, obviously, into the Impulses, and then they kind of became known as this like launch company, that they were the companies doing the launches for all the rides with the Mavericks and the Impulse coasters and all that great stuff, and obviously Dragster, what we're talking about here. So like when people say, well, what did Zamperla do? Well, Zamperla's kind of done the same thing. They've done a bunch of flat rides. They've done a bunch of, smaller roller coasters. And it seems like they designed that lightning train, the lightning coaster, that they want to get into the game doing bigger coasters. And how do you get into the game? You do the biggest coaster you can, right?
Yeah. And they never really had a division like for thrill coasters before, with the exception of like the Thunderbolt model, which is weird, but fine, I guess, but weird too.
Yeah.
It's weird. But it was there. That's really the only other example we can point to right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're kind of in the trades. You've been through like the engineering circles a little bit, right? Like you and
I'm for those of you who don't know, I'm a technology education teacher.
Yeah. So you're in the game a little bit. And to me, it's like the most of the engineering's like already done for Dragster. Like no matter what they do here, like it's not like stuff that's revolutionary. Anything we talk about here, is there a single thing we're going to talk about tonight that you think is a revolutionary thing that's going to be that we've never seen done on a roller coaster before?
No, I mean, they're doing some restoration work, which is really not new in any kind of trade. And the control systems are things that they're already familiar with. And in some cases are third-party components anyway for Intamin as well.
Yeah. And I've also heard rumors, and I don't know how true this is. I read it on Twitter, which we all know how true Twitter is. But there were some people saying that maybe some people from Intamin have recently left the company, have gone to Zamperla, that Zamperla is trying to get some people in to start this thrill coaster division. So there might be some crossover there. I don't know. That's something I've heard. I wouldn't go around telling everyone on Facebook that that's true, but who knows who's working for Zamperla at this point.
I don't know if it's a different source, but I saw the same thing on Reddit. Yeah.
Okay. So you've seen it too at other places. So there's some talk out there that there might be some, veteran roller coaster designers out there that are working for Zamperla because they're making some money, So anyway, I don't think Zamperla having their name attached to this is like something to be overly concerned for. And also because we know the track record of other roller coaster companies out there that everyone loves, RMC coasters. They have, of course, had their issues. Intamin has, of course, had many, 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 many issues. And now even B&M has issues too, where they got crack supports. So there's really not a coaster company out there that really has a flawless record out there. So Zamperla, that doesn't bother me at all. I'm not going up in arms over Zamperla's name being attached to this. What do you think?
I don't know. I think the only thing that don't break is a din.
Right? And well, and
Can't get rid of those.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, so let's look at the ride itself a little bit, and what we think is going to happen. I think people are getting a little bit crazy with their predictions. I don't think you're going to have any legitimate records being broken here, right? What do you think?
No, I do see a lot of people excited that they're going to reclaim the height record, they're going to reclaim the speed record, and that one is such a moonshot. Like, I don't even feel like we need to talk about it.
Well, it's like you could make us like we all think that there's going to be a spike on the back here. That's going to be some sort of swing launch, and people are like, well, is that spike going to be over 500 feet? And I would say, what would be the purpose of it? Like it would almost hinder what you're trying to do, I think, with the entire ride.
Yeah, it would keep the train in that one block zone for so long that, like, how many people would even get to ride it an hour? It would become like a real crawl.
Yeah, and I just don't see them doing that. And plus, you brought up a good point about FAA regulations and stuff. What did you find?
Okay, so I searched the proposed projects in Ohio to see if they had filed, because every single structure over 200 feet has to have one of those little red lighting beacons on it. It's got to be geolocated. It's got to have its altitude, charted. And there are no projects in Sandusky that are upcoming that where construction hasn't started, where that would need to be done. And a filing would need to be done more than 30 days before construction started. And I would make the argument that construction's already started.
Yeah, and I just don't like. I don't think you're going to have a super tall spike. I think having a spike of under 200 feet is probably what you would need for this.
I think functionally it does what they needed to do, which is to get the train to go through that section of track at speed.
Yeah. So
And also it gives you something else fun to do.
so I'm also going to be, I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news in my prediction of
I
today.
know, be a big rain cloud.
So I also don't think you're going to see a whole lot of extra being done on this ride. So in my mind, and we've debated this, we're going to talk about two different theories on how we get over the hill. Because the other hill I don't feel is changing at all. The traditional dragster hill that's already there, I don't think you're going to repaint it, whatever. I don't think that's changing at all. So the question is, how do you get over that hill? I think you're going to have the spike on the back, whether it be under 200. But I think a cool thing would be, though, I was thinking about the other day, is what if they spiraled the spike a little bit? We haven't seen that on a swing launch yet with a spiral spike. We have seen it on things like Wicked Twister, be a little homage to the old Wicked Twister, to put a little spiral on there, to have it go up and do a little, thing instead of just going straight back. The spiral on Wicked Twister was always really cool, and plus it kind of like mirror the spiral down on the other side of the hill. So the other thing is, will there be a speed hill on either side? We know King Ka has a speed hill on the back end of it. And we see a lot of the modern Intamins with these launches have the speed hill on the front. Those speed hills are really fantastic. When you ride something like Pantheon at Busch Gardens, the speed hill going backwards is amazing. The speed hill going forwards is amazing. The speed hill is actually the most fun part of the ride, I would say. The top hat you can keep, but the speed hill, I love speed hills. I love speed hills. Millennium Speed Hill, Leviathan Speed Hill, we can add speed hills to everything, is in my opinion. So then we get to the point of so me and you were having this debate. I initially thought you'd get out onto the track somehow, and we still haven't figured out how you get out onto the track. We're having that debate as well between us.
I think we both landed on it's going to be different, but we're not really sure what's the most viable option.
Yeah, we're not really sure the exact, like, you have like the Mr. Freeze model of moving tracks. You have the Power Splash model of a spin track, a table track spin. You have to have some sort of track that moves, because
Or like one of those flippy things like they've got on other Intamins and
so like
yeah.
you have all these different options of how you could do it. We're really not sure on where you launch from, where the station is, because we're also debating if the shell currently that's there, is that going to be where you launch from? Are you going to launch forward? Are you going to be out on the track a little bit more? We couldn't figure all that out. We're going to wait for that for a few days. But the debate is which way do you launch first? I thought you'd launch forwards first, go up the hill, everyone gets a rollback, which I think would be a huge selling point for the ride because everyone's always wanted the rollback off of the top. Then you roll back and then you go through the back half, you go up the spike, and then you go again over the hill. I will admit that adds a lot of time to the ride because you got to go all the way up the hill. You got to go all the way back. You got to launch now. And it's a really long distance, as you pointed out to me in the pre-show. It's a really long distance to launch all the way back to the spike now, and now launch all the way forwards again to finally go over the hill. I think it would be a much better experience because everyone gets a rollback. That's a huge selling point in my mind that you can say everyone gets a rollback. But what was your idea instead?
All right, so I'll be the rain cloud now.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's say we went your way. So you've got your normal launch track, which has got to be about 800 feet or so. I'm just estimating. And then you've got to go up almost 400 feet, maybe not all the way. And then let's say you go up. I mean, Giga coasters, when they drop, you're going about 90. So if you go 300 feet or so, and then you drop backwards, you're going 90. You're not really getting backwards launch because they're not going to be able to have you enter the spike at like over 100 miles per hour, going only half the distance and come up short.
But it also depends. You're also going to burn off a lot more. You're going to burn off a lot more speed though, because Dragster would launch not halfway, but almost like a third out from the station. So you're going to burn off some speed there. Maybe put that hill there to burn off a little bit more speed and maybe up the spike. I don't know if you did it your way, you launch backwards first, maybe over a speed hill, hopefully.
I think that would be cool, like a little step up right before the tap.
And that's kind of like how Pantheon is. It has that little step up speed hill before you hit the spike. And then you do a full launch up over, which I think would be cool, but I don't know if it differentiates itself enough from the current Dragster. Like everyone keeps saying how this is going to be radically different than what Dragster was. And ultimately, if you're still only adding just a spike and a speed hill, I don't know if that's radically different in my mind.
Yeah, but I think you're confusing marketing and what you're getting. I mean, Cedar Fair has done bonkers marketing in the past. I mean, the shed did that live up to expectations? I mean, Kings Island said they were building a Giga. The Banshee was supposed to be the tallest wing coaster in the world when, wing coasters aren't that cool. Now we know that, but like at the time there was only Mild Eagle. So like it seemed like a cooler thing to have. So sometimes they get people really revved up and what you get is not the same. But I think if it had a spike, when you walk up, all the fans, all the locals, all the regulars, they're going to look at it and be like, that's just different.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have a different experience. Kind of doesn't matter after that.
Now, some people have been saying that they've seen track pieces that look like block breaks almost being stored out over by Hotel Breakers Express, whatever the hell they're calling it now. I don't know what they call it now. Express Hotel. I don't know what that, because like I initially thought something that you could be cool to be done is then take it like over the spike and maybe take it out over by like Corkscrew. They just moved those two flat rides out from over there. So there's the Matterhorn's gone, the Scrambler's gone. You have some space across the midway. You could do some, dippity-doos, some maneuvers or whatever. But I don't get that sense at all at this point, right? I don't. Initially, I thought, you could add on a whole bunch of time onto this ride, make it a longer ride. But I don't foresee that happening. I think it's going to be.
I think the added time is just going to be your time on the spike.
Yes, I think you're right. And I think if you get a speed hill out of it, preferably on the launch side, because either way, now Danny Miller actually suggested this. There's that roller coaster out in Europe that you get to vote which way you launch first.
Oh, yeah.
But it would like radically change how the ride works though, right? Like,
well, yeah, it could like triple the duration of the launch. Just
like it would like radically change the actual duration of the ride. So I don't know if there's going to be a vote, although the vote would be really cool. Well, I don't know how they. I'm from Chicago. I'd at least expect to be able to vote twice on each trip. So
You have to bring like a cane so you can push the button in front of
Right. So if no one's sitting next to me, I can get that guy's vote too. That'd be really cool. Find out new ways to cheat the system. So any other thoughts on the ride itself? Like, I don't think it's going to hit, like, I think it's going to be 110, 115. I don't think you're going to change any of the heights. The spike probably, 150, 175, maybe up to 200 right underneath it. Um, maybe a speed hill on the front, maybe a speed hill on the back. It'd be nice to get two hills in there, but I don't like King Daka's hill too, because I've never been on King Daka. But does that speed hill do anything? Like, or is it just...
Well, it does two things. Like it gives you another element and a nice little look around, but it also gets the train to the back to the unload
Yeah.
really fast compared to like tire drives.
Oh.
I think that was built as a function of making the ride operate better, like after they learned from Top Thrill Dragster.
And maybe we'll see that too. Maybe we'll see. And I don't know. I haven't been keeping up on like different pictures and stuff. I've actually been watching more about Epic Universe on how they're building that as opposed to this. I'm going to try and get there in August and see some stuff. What's going on? I don't think they've been putting down any track yet. I know they've been working on that back half because my parents were there with my brother and my nephews a few weeks, like 2 weeks ago, and they were working on the section behind the station, what the old station was. We assume might be the station now. So that's our thoughts on the ride. Nothing spectacular. Maybe two airtime hills, a spike that's not going to break any records, a speed that's probably not going to break any records. Might be nice if it did go over what Dragster did before, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that.
What do you think on the name? You think they'll keep the name?
Well, that's the bigger question is what the theme here is, and they're going heavy into this racing thing.
Now,
And
I don't want to be a rain cloud again, but that logo, that incomplete logo that they've been sharing,
yeah,
looks like a CP,
yeah,
and it's not very long, and they already have the license. Do you think it could be Racer, Cedar Point Racer, like Kings
I
Island has
I
a Racer, Kings Dominion has a Racer? Could it be Racer?
I don't know, but
Too
I'm gonna
big.
go back. I'm gonna go back to the Fury campaign. And
Okay.
the Fury campaign was so heavy on the Centurion. They did the whole T-shirt thing. They did the Roman Gladiator Colosseums for the commercials. They went all in on this on the Gladiator theme, and it wasn't that at all.
So you
And
think it might not have to do with racing?
I'm feeling it has nothing to do with racing, and I don't
Okay,
think it's
that's a bold
Polaris
call.
either. So I'm not going there.
Okay.
So I think it's going to become something completely different. If it's a race theme, fine, cool, whatever. There's a lot of cool race themes out there. It goes fast. It's a natural fit. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a racing theme. However, I'm going to throw it into everyone's mind right now, and this is what we do at this time of year. We did it for Fury. Well, we nailed Fury. I told Danny at the beginning. I said it's going to be like I actually said it was going to be a Charlotte Hornet theme, and it was I was spot on.
Yeah.
I did think Valraven was a red herring too, though. So in all fairness, when everyone released the Valraven logo and stuff from when they hacked the app or whatever it was, I thought it was going to be a pirate theme personally. But it was not. It's Valraven. Cool, whatever. So I was wrong on that one. I nailed Fury. This one, I feel like they're going into the racing way too much, and I feel like there's...
Well, their code name for it is High Point, right? They keep
Yeah.
doing the hashtag like Cedar Point High Point.
Yeah. And like Magnum's right there, and Gemini's right there, kind of space themes.
So maybe something with altitude, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm just thinking, I'm thinking something with space to kind of match in with the power towers right there. Like you have all this height stuff going on, you have the space stuff going on. Like I feel like a space themed ride would fit well into that area.
I think that would be a good change.
And honestly, that overhang, that shell, never said racing to me. It always was more futuristic than racing.
I don't know. It looks like a roller coaster station.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those. It's one of those things, right? I just everyone's saying it's a racing theme. I think they're leading you down the wrong path, and I don't know what path they are leading you down.
Yeah, I feel
what
like
path they will ultimately go down, but I don't think. I think racing is not it. I don't know.
I feel like the wrong way is definitely the correct assessment.
Right? Like, because they're going so much into the racing, and it's like this, that, and racing is cool, but not that cool. Like, I don't know many kids watching NASCAR. It's usually
Oh, it's not even NASCAR really, but yeah, I guess.
yeah. Well, it could be Formula One. People were saying it's Formula One. You know, Gran Turismo is coming out with a movie this summer. It's just too much going on there. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say, and it's not Polaris either. So don't sit there and think I'm saying it's Polaris.
All right, I'll take Polaris. There we can be right.
You'll take Polaris, okay? I don't know.
Yeah,
but they also just did Orion too at Kings Island. So, but they like to steal stuff now. All of a sudden,
they did. Maybe it'll be Batman. I hope it's Batman.
Well, I was thinking about it. Will it be the King James coaster that was supposed to be a few years ago, right? when they made the whole deal with LeBron James, and they were going to do a whole. And then I thought, well, would they do a licensing deal? It seems like Cedar Fair has really moved away from the licensing deals. But could it be a licensing deal? I don't know. I don't think it will be, but there's always that possibility too.
Yeah,
some sort of license that they get.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. What do the lightning trains look like? Do they remind us of anything? Lightning coaster? The
Not
trains
really.
are pretty plain, right?
Yeah, I mean, but like you got to assume that you could customize those. I know that a lot of the trains that you guys are used to seeing that look cool are made by a company called Creative Studios, and they just make the fiberglass shells. They don't make the train.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that.
Because it's gray, it's black and gray, or excuse me, it's white and gray. Maybe with a little red thrown in.
There's red. Yeah.
Yeah, there's red in the stuff that they've given out to people, so we're really not sure yet. But we know the track right now is gray and white. That screams space to me. I don't know. It just screams future space. Like, I was just watching a video about Disney, and they said they use white to signify the future. That white is that color, that everything that in Disney World that's white. It's like Tomorrowland, Space Mountain, Tron. It's all white because it signifies the future. And here you have a whole lot of white track. And when I think of future, I think of space. That's just me. So anyway, any other thoughts on this besides us giving out bad news to everyone?
I don't know. I do like bad news. I don't know. I feel like just the whole load unload thing, that there's going to be a change. I feel like that because of capacity, I expect to see something, but I just don't know how to describe that yet.
I'm just saying, if everyone could get a rollback, that would be a huge selling point to me. If they could figure out a system or a block system where you get to launch up the spike, up the hill, and get a rollback and then back on the spike. If that spike was closer, it'd be almost obvious if that spike was moved up. But because that hill is so far back, that pylon is so far back, like that's a lot of space.
Oh, I mean, unless they cleared out the middle to make the transfer somewhere in the middle. But that would be even more complicated then. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Even more construction.
Now it'd be an Intamin
possibility.
Right?
Sorry.
Now over engineering is the hallmark of Intamin. So
it'll become like the Rube Goldberg roller coaster.
Oh my God. So we'll find out here. What day is this? August 1st? I'm not going to be there. Yeah. That's Tuesday? Oh man. That's right here.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So we'll find out on Tuesday, but that's our official prediction is don't get your hopes up. I still think now, I think people are overhyping this. And the problem is when you overhype things and then you see what you actually get, you're disappointed. But there's a lot of hope here that if you get a really good speed hill before the spike, a good speed hill after the drop, if you could ever guarantee everyone a rollback, those are three things. Two of the three, actually, the rollback and the speed hill on the launch, those two things by itself would make this drastically better of a ride. Like, it would improve Dragster by 1,000,000.
Well, you're already going to extend the duration where you're accelerating.
Yeah.
And and you've got a spike, I think you're going to end up doubling the action on the ride no matter what.
Yeah, these launches are
That's
going to
the
be
complaint, right? It's
like these
short.
launches are going to be bonkers. Like we scream and yell about like what's the launch on Pantheon? 60 miles an hour?
I think it's 70 something.
70? So you're talking about almost doubling possibly, how fast that launch is and then doing that backwards, possibly. Like this could be absolutely bonkers of a ride. Like when you start looking at what could happen, instead of thinking about, oh, is there going to be track at the end? Is there going to be a 500-foot spike? Let's forget about all these stupid records that ultimately don't mean anything. Because Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia is going to break them all anyway. So it doesn't even matter. So the records mean nothing when what was it called? Falcon's Flight opens up.
Yeah.
I saw a rendering of someone who's put together a POV of that. You can forget it all because once that opens up, it's all done anyway. It's over. So all these records are going to be meaningless anyway. So let's make a really good ride. Let's make Dragster into not just one launch and one hill. Let's do a few speed hills. Oh my God. Could you even imagine if there's more than one speed hill? Like you do one over there, one over
You're
there.
getting too excited. You're just going to
I
be
know.
disappointed.
Speed hills. Just put speed hills. Just make a ride to speed hills that aren't terrible. Like, I don't know.
Pantheon 73. I looked it up.
73. So there you go. So you're talking about a much higher number here. Theoretically 110, 115, 120, maybe even higher than that. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens. And Dragster was always a ride for me that I thought was a one-trick pony. It was super awesome, and I would never wait in line for it. So if there's a line of over 10 minutes, I would not be in that line. I know people who love Dragster who would wait 3 hours for it. That was not me. I don't think even if they added all this great stuff that we talked about, I still don't think I'm waiting super long for that. But I maybe, it's probably going to be better, be more. Maybe I'll wait 30 to 40 minutes for it, as opposed to only 10. 10 was my cutoff. If I was in that line for over 10 minutes, I was very, very upset. So any final thoughts before we go here?
No, I think we've made enough bold predictions to call
Did
that.
we make any bold predictions? Yeah, we made the low bar predictions is what we've set here, but I still think it'd be really good. So as always, thank you for joining us here on COASTER-net Update. I'm of course Andrew Barchak from Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm Jeff Goodman from Long Island, New York.
Right on, Ride Warriors.
See you later.